How's it going, everyone? Decellen Joker. I just got out of class and the patch notes dropped, so I am now going to be getting into this. I have zero idea what the patch is going to be about, and I'm going to be going in as in-depth as possible, and I'll show off the new gadgets if I can. I don't know if my game will load, I have mods installed, but let's get started here. So, patch 1.3.1, this update has been highly anticipated. Everyone wanted this patch for a long time, and let's start with the first thing, update. We got the 8 new gadgets, and these 8 gadgets are a lot about rings, and are very interesting, genuinely. Either collecting rings or not having rings, things of that nature. Next, let's go on to the next part. Added new frenzy. So we have bonus ring frenzy, so to improve upon the ring gadgets, so probably less is more, or the ring burners, whatever those are, right? So that's actually really cool. And then we have probably another frenzy mode, maybe, who knows? But if it's just the ring bonus mode, that's super sick. Added more music, don't really care, that's really cool. 5 collaboration decals, pretty cool. 30 decals from collaborations with major brands, that's pretty cool. Now, mode update. More Donpa tickets for World Match Legend Comp, that's pretty nice, but like, I don't really care too much. Not really that big into this. War Match cannot be played during festival. This is huge. Even if it's not like a competitive thing, this on the casual side is absolutely amazing. This is something that I've been asking for. I think everyone's been asking for this. This is a really, really good change. Absolutely amazing. Updated all modes except time trial with bonus ring frenzy and item box frenzy. Okay, so this probably means item box frenzy is going to be available in World Match. This is really crazy to see. So we're probably going to see a lot more item spam. So hopefully some of these items actually do get nerfed, genuinely, because we should not be having more items if the items aren't nerfed, right? Maximum rating in World Match increased to almost 1 million. This doesn't really matter, but I think the only people that are even getting within quote-unquote range of getting a 99,000 rate were Persona and Neater Speeder, and I think they were only at 51k for Neater and almost 60,000 for Persona. This doesn't really matter. So, but for those two, they just got a kick in the nuts. New options. You can now add or change buttons that trigger the ability gadgets. That's really sick, actually. Something that's really cool. And it's possible to disable rental plates. Thank God. I hated the rental plates. That's actually really nice. So not too bad. So far the changes are pretty alright. Other additions, adjustments, balance adjustments for races and gadgets. Okay, we're about to go into that. And okay, so let's start off with the updates for this is the Donpa tickets. So yeah, we're getting about double Donpa tickets, if not more, if you place in lower positions. So that's actually really nice. That's very, very nice, genuinely. And if you place first in Legend Comp, you get 70. Very nice for at least getting all the AI skins and even being able to collect all the friendship rewards. This is really good. Festivals are just a CPU strength, so this will be a lot stronger. So not too bad, not too bad. Add a new rule for festival, make it more fun. Very interested to see what that is. Frenzy, so all the bonus rings are going to be 10, and it looks like they're going to be decently spread out. Not too bad. It's actually really cool. And then item box frenzy looks like it's going to be the same position. So when you learn where item boxes are in the item box frenzy, or where you learn the rings are in the ring frenzy, based on these two images, you know exactly where they're going to be on every frenzy. So that's actually really cool to see. So you can actually kind of identify where the rings are going to be or the items are going to be as long as you play this enough on each map. So it's actually really cool that there's some consistency with this. Very nice to see. New music. Okay, we're going to skip over this. Don't really care about the music and decals. Five Guys? Funko. Okay, maybe I do care about this a little bit, but we'll talk about that maybe later. New gadget button. So this allows you to add the gadget button and adjust it. So that's actually really nice. Not gonna go too much into this because I barely use inventory swap, and the few times I do, I actually really like where the button is placed, so I don't really mind. Turn the selection plate off. Okay, the new gadgets. This is the big one that I was thinking of. So summon item box, correct. Go Omochao. Wrong on this one if I'm correct. So instead of it being a Omochao starter, we are getting what looks to be something like short fuse, right? Where it's a stronger version of Omochao, and it's gonna be at a 10 times rate potentially. Now, I don't know for sure, but if I had to guess, since Omochao is a speed item, maybe it's a 5 times rate, but if it's 10 times, it's probably gonna be nuts. Champion bounty. Champion bounty is pretty solid overall. If this is going to be first place bounty, I don't know what the slot stats are yet, so keep this in mind. This is all tentative ideas of what this all is. Route planner bounty, call this one travel ring selector bounty, whatever you want to call it. So it's actually really nice. Let's see here. Less is more. Yep. New is less is more. Ring dumbler. Yep. Ring engine and hyper ring engine. So we're getting to the game here in a second, but seeing as ring engine and hyper ring engine are something I kind of predicted when it came to how I was thinking about it, maybe it's going to be like the Nitro variant of this. So yeah, stay tuned for that. We'll see what that is. So that's actually really cool. I'm very interested in that. Following gadgets previously used for the festival. So all the festival gadgets are now available, which is really nice. Competitive balance adjustment. So expand tactile variety. Ring gain gadgets to further support these strategies. Okay. You see dominant in the meta, letting players continuously gain invincibility. Okay. So basically talking about how the competitive scene was just completely obliterated and overtaken by Ultimate Charge as a whole, and how Ultimate Charge really decided everything for the the most part, and how it was really just baked into every part of the meta, which is fully understandable. Genuinely, I fully get this, and I fully understand that there's going to be some changes to UC. Hopefully we see some changes to items. Let's go into the gadget adjustments. So we got Ace Pilot Kit, All-Rounder Kit, and Wisp Porter Kit. Interesting. Increase the duration of boost. Okay, so previously collision boost gave only a momentary speed boost and often failed to result in moving the car racing. So it looks like we're seeing collision boost actually get an adjustment. Collision boost is going to get increased, so this could actually make collision boost a really fun gadget. It was already kind of fun, but I don't know how good this is going to be. Genuinely, Ace Pilot Kit, All-Rounder, and these two kits were kind of like whatever. Wisp Porter overall was actually a pretty solid gadget kit. He was a better version of the already item hoarder kit, and not only that, it's a alternative to Inventory Plus and Dark Chow starter as a combo. This allows you to get items without having to get sliced and lose your Dark Chow, so it was actually really nice to have this and have this alternative. And having Wisp chance up without having to sacrifice another slot was actually also very nice for that reason. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out, but the fact that we're seeing Collision Boost also get a buff is actually really cool. So I'm actually very psyched to see how Collision Boost pans out. Wisp Porter Kit, really solid gadget kit overall. All-Rounder and Ace Pilot, still nothing looks to have made them better. Crash Pads. Crash Pads triggers ring having effects when hit with Ring Thief. This does not really matter in the context of competitive or casual play. Crash Pads divides the damage that you take in half, so instead of losing 50 rings on an attack item or 20 rings on a crush item, you're losing 25 rings and 10 rings respectively. And Ring Thief can only get up to about 14 rings at most if you stack all three forms of Ring Thief, which is going to be Handling Character Kit, and then Ring Thief Mini and Ring Thief itself. So even then, no one's running that amount of Ring Thief, and even if players are running Ring Thief, like if it's still on Excel Character Kit, which I see it's in here, we'll get to that in 1 second, Ring Thief doesn't really like pertain to a huge majority of the game. So this change doesn't make Crash Pads any better. It doesn't change what's wrong with Crash Pads as it being a 2 slot, but with the fact that we see Ultimate Charge is getting nerfed, that we could see some Crash Pads showing up. But I do think the time trial build is going to take a big precedent in this patch, and I also think the ring game boost builds are going to really skyrocket this patch since Ultimate Charge is nerfed. And let's get into Ultimate Charge. So Ultimate Charge reduces the invincibility duration on a level 4 boost from 3 to 1.5 seconds, which is something I stated, and a lot of people have stated that this should be nerfed, and this should be nerfed in such a way like this. So it looks like they're going to the route of just cutting the duration in half of the shielding. So this is very good when it comes to like how healthy of a change it is to the game, because the invincibility was very favored by desync, and you wouldn't see the invincibility duration or anything of that nature. So this is actually very good for the game to see this change. Now I am praying we see item changes here in a second that are nerfing like Tornado, Green Glove, Bomb, things of that nature, because Ultimate Charge on its own nerfed is not actually healthy for the game on its own. It actually reduces a lot of the consistency factor of the game, and items have to be nerfed in order to make sure that overall consistency of winning races actually stays high, because it should be in the player's favor of winning the race, not the items, not some other shenanigans. Now granted, I hate Ultimate Charge as much as the next guy, but at least I'm willing to admit, like on this front, that Ultimate Charge itself is still a integral part to having consistency in this game. And even without Ultimate Charge, you can find consistency, but it's a lot harder, and you have to sacrifice a lot more gadgets, things of that nature. So seeing Ultimate Charge actually be a more high risk, high reward playstyle, and it's going to make Ultimate Charge players have to really think more about their UC usage and timing their UCs. This actually is really good overall. It provides more intelligent play and more fun counterplay to the gadget itself. Acceleration Character Kit, a very strong gadget kit. It's just Ring Game Boost 2, Slipstream Bounty, and Mini Ring Thief. Now, the thing is, Acceleration Character Kit is like 95 to 97% Ring Game Boost 2 and Slipstream Bounty, whereas it's like 3 to 5% Mini Ring Thief. I don't even think Mini Ring Thief is that important on this setup. So, removed Mini Ring Thief from ACK. So, this just means nothing. Like, genuinely, I know people are going to argue in the comment section about this, but I'm just going to be blatantly honest. This does not affect Acceleration Character Kit at all. In fact, I actually think it does the opposite. I think it basically just means like Acceleration Character Kit gets a tiny nerf, but this tiny nerf doesn't really translate out, because now what we do is just go to Ring Game Boost 2 and Slipstream Bounty like we were before back in December when people started really picking up on it and things of that nature. And if we want to run like say a 2 slot or a 3 slot, whatever, we can adjust our gadget plate further, and Acceleration Character Kit itself is a hindrance on acceleration characters. So at this point, there's literally no reason to play Acceleration Character Kit over just putting Ring Game Boost 2 and Slipstream Bounty in your build, especially if you're an acceleration character player. So for the most part, like this gadget has basically just become Ring Game Boost 2 and Slipstream Bounty. It doesn't really change anything, and the 7 acceleration does not change anything for the acceleration characters. It's a much bigger hindrance. So I really do think this does not matter. This nerf, it sucks for Acceleration Character Kit. It takes away a little bit of a buff it had, but at the same time, I really don't think it changes too much about what you're going to be doing with Ring Game Boost 2 and Slipstream Bounty. So that overall playstyle and that overall fundamental idea of how Ring Game Boost 2 builds are going to play does not change, so we don't have to worry about that too much. Inventory swap, so gadget button UI will now gray out when swapping is not possible. This is just a nice little quality of life, I guess. Not really too important. It's pretty alright for the most part, but I never had this issue where I thought that I could swap at any moment. I knew it was a 5-second cooldown. So to see this to have a nice quality of life for other players that wanted to try the gadget and didn't understand what was going on, really nice at least. Item adjustments. Pray to God I see a tornado change. Drill item has been too easy to jump to first place in the final lap, so its effective duration has been shortened when the player is in 4th place or higher. Okay, this is surprisingly interesting. So hard bagging is a setup that has been very strong for a very long time, and smuggling has been very, very powerful as well, especially with ultimate charge. So seeing a drill nerf is actually not that bad. Now, the fact that it slows you down tremendously in 4th place or higher, I don't know how much of a slowdown this is going to be. I will put a clip up if I find it while I'm in the making of this video to show how much slower this truly is. And genuinely, I want to say that if it's going to slow you down, it's going to slow you down a lot more, because he was going at like 360 speed when you're in like top 3 and popping it like at last second. So we could see this go down to like maybe 250, 260, somewhere in that range. And the speed drop that occurs before the drill effect ends now happens earlier. Ooh, this is actually really interesting. So this ending earlier actually is going to make it even harder to actually get caught back up to players that are farther ahead, especially people that are in like top 3. So this actually favors front running much harder. This change overall makes it so where front running is going to be more favored against drill as a power item. So that's actually really neat to see. Special item box didn't offer much of a competitive edge, so its item lineup and appearance rates have been adjusted. This is actually, I'm gonna say this is actually very good depending on how this changes. So if you remember from the item distribution video I actually made, I talked about how the special item box was probably the worst item box you could pick up unless you were holding a green glove, and even then you were taking a massive risk, especially in first place. And I think that might still hold true. I will like to see what actually changes about this. I will make a follow-up, or I'll post an image right up here to show you what has changed. And genuinely, the fact that this item box has been so bad for so long and it's just such a hindrance really sucks, but the fact that the devs aren't changing this to make it a lot better, I actually really like this. I think this could be very good for the game going forward. Now, granted, I don't know what they're changing it to, but I have a feeling it could be pretty solid, and if it's not, then unfortunately this just doesn't matter. But this could make special item boxes finally actually have more of an impact, which is something that I've been asking for quite a while, and I really think special item boxes really need to be adjusted very quickly. In some cases, item box frenzy made it harder to obtain items, so we're adjusting item box placement behavior and make items easier. So I'm assuming this is for the festivals, so it doesn't look like you can actually roll item box frenzy in world match. This looks like it's festival only, and making it easier to pick up items is actually really nice. So for festivals, this could be pretty solid, but overall, if you can't roll this online or in legend comp, then this doesn't truly matter at all. It only matters for the festival stuff. So online gameplay adjustments. Fix an issue where decent caused by network conditions could unfairly allow other players to steal an item box. So this is actually a nice change for players that are struggling to consistently get items, and you have these situations where you're grabbing an item while you're in front of someone on your screen, but on their screen they're in front of you, so you lose your item box and they get that item box. It's a whole problem. So seeing this could actually be a very healthy change to the game. It could also be very problematic. It really depends on how it's fully implemented and what they truly do to this. I really do think that this overall as an adjustment could be kind of whatever. Now, I do want to state that if this allows both players on both sides of the desync to actually grab an item, this is horrible. This change is absolutely terrible, genuinely. More items, especially in an item infested game currently, and something that is very problematic, this is terrible. This is not a good change. This is not a change we want at all. So hopefully they fix this, and hopefully we're not getting like doubled up items where two players are getting the items at the same time. I think that'd be horrible to the game. CPU races were too likely to be in a lead early in the race, affecting players and player interaction, so we reduced their pace at the start. Okay, that's actually pretty neat. So this only affects Grand Prix, so make some Grand Prix easier. Not really too much to talk about on that. I don't really think it matters. Team matches, ally CPUs were sometimes too slow and put players at disadvantage, so we increased it. Okay, so again, not really too much of a thing here. Power has had greater impact in team matches, so they're making the festival matches a little bit weaker when it comes to power items, and King Boom Boom in particular as well, so that's actually pretty cool. But in general, basically, they're making it so you can't just super hard front run, or you can't just get to the front automatically by just popping one super team boost or using super powerful items. So I think that's a little bit more healthy. It incentivizes more intelligent play, I guess, and incentivizes you to play a little more towards the festival condition a little bit from the sounds of it. I don't know how this is going to play out fully, but that's what it sounds like to me. Course adjustment, adjusted ring and item box placement, Pack Village, Maze, and Sky Road, where there wasn't enough risk reward balance. Okay, so I would like to see how this plays out, but potentially this could be a very healthy change overall. Now, the item box placement and the ring placement, I think this might be talking about the rings in certain areas, like instead of having the rings on the left side paths, you actually have to go to the more risky paths on the right in the first path that you see when it splits, and then the left on the second path where it splits, and that's probably how you're going to get more items as well, things of that nature. So we could see something like that on Sky Road. And then for Pack Village and Maze, there really wasn't any risk reward at all for the rings and item boxes. You could get an item box on the far left of Pack Village and Maze that was kind of secluded in a little corner at the very start, so you get two items super early off rip, especially if you knew how to take the line. fine. But even then, that could cause a lot of issues because now you're going to be one up on everyone when it comes to items, and that's also where some special boxes are hidden as well. And it's not too far out of the way. You can actually do it pretty consistently and grab those special item boxes and have more items overall than the other players. So this could be actually a very healthy change overall for Pack Village and Maze, where some players were able to just really accelerate themselves with more items and more rings, things of that nature. So we can see this trend be a little more healthy for the game overall as well. So I'm very interested to see what that looks like. Other adjustments, title screen selection, don't really care about this. When playing as Tangle or Tail, just something to block the camera and obscure the view, of course. I mean, that's nice and all. Don't care about this, don't care about this. Okay, jukebox fixation with certain classic Sonic songs would disappear in the jukebox after performing specific actions. That really doesn't matter. That's not fixing the core issue of the jukebox itself. Fixing issue where air machines don't play correctly during festival award ceremony. Okay, fair enough. Fix it unintentional. I mean, this doesn't really matter. It's cool though. I mean, it makes it look a lot better, but I don't really think that matters. Grade up animation was displayed. Okay, yeah, this one was a really funny bug but thankfully it's fixed. Hey, okay, this one. This is actually a really good time trial change. So, achieving a goal identical to the down to the last 3 digits to a rank incorrectly result in a grade below. This is actually really nice. So now players that are hitting like 2 minutes flat on Bikini Bottom SSS will get the S rank. This is actually really cool. This is a very healthy change to time trial and makes time trial a lot easier and a lot more accessible to players that were like barely on the cusp of getting the S rank before, but literally missed it by like literally 1/1000th of a second. So this is actually really good for time trial. It makes it so that way if you tie the A or S rank time, you get the A or S rank rather than a B or an A rank. So good change overall. I like that. Fixing issue where collisions with other players' machines cause excessive slowdown when pinned against the wall. Yeah, this one, if this is holding true to what it's saying, very, very good change. This is a very healthy change to the game. This is a change that has been needing to be fixed for a long time because it really causes a lot of issues and especially ruins races. Usually where invincibility durations could appear longer than intended. This is actually another really good change. So synchronizing the invincibility ending timing correctly and making sure it shows up properly, this is a really good change as well. This will help a lot more with targeting players with shields and ultimate charge, things of that nature. So I like this change. This is pretty healthy. Machines, fixing issue with boost time machines sometimes don't bounce correctly in collision with other machines. Yeah, this is probably going to be a boost machine nerf due to that, based on how it's worded, so that's actually really good for the boost machines. Boost machines have been really strong and have been the supposed high risk, high reward machines, but instead they've been just super high reward for low risk. So seeing this to give it some more risk factor, not too bad, genuinely. Fixing an issue where being hit by an item while drifting or jumping causes the machine to float too high. This was a change that's been needed, thank God. This change has been horrible. You see this tons of times on Donpa Factory especially. This is a change that's been plaguing the game that needed to happen ASAP. So good change, I like this. Frenzy time, boost frenzy would end. Item selection could not result in receiving an item. Okay, I see what it's going for here. So the ending during the item selection could not result in receiving an item. So I think this is when you're like starting your item use. I think this is just overall healthy based on what it's saying. Fix an issue during boost frenzy where the Omochao warp activating after you relapse sometimes made items unusable. This is mainly like when you're way too far behind, so I don't know too much about this, but I see what it's getting at. So it makes sure that your items are still usable when you get force warped when you're too far behind, so that's pretty cool. Urban Canyon change, so drifting air tricks become unusable after the third path transformation gate. That's really nice. They fixed that. Early split path on the hill caused a dramatic temporary position drop. Okay, that's pretty. I didn't notice that. Homing pungent slicer behave incorrectly near the final corner. Oh, interesting. Didn't know that. So they're making. I think this is a buff potentially based on how it's worded. Please could something be launched off the course in the second corner after the jump area. Interesting. Didn't know that. I know exactly what this is talking about. So it's actually making sure that when you're drifting or when you're going for the big jump, leading into the section with no boundaries to protect you from falling off the course, right? This is preventing situations where you're going to get super launched off the course by decent shoves, I think. So that might be actually really nice. It might help that a little bit. Taking damage when crossing the first dash ring. Yeah, I remember this one bugging. And a few other nice little changes, it looks like. So not too bad, genuinely. Let's see here. Wait, Dark Eye Phoenix Flame attack where could hit players even during charge jump on water, fixed by making it easier to avoid by jumping. Oh, this is actually a good change. So it's easier to avoid Dark Gaia's Phoenix Flame when you're taking the path on the near the end where the last dragon is. So you can actually jump over that more consistently without having to have a full charge level 3 and holding full back to actually dodge that. It's actually a really good change. I like that. So I wonder if you could do this with just a level 1 now. If you could do it with a level 1, that's really cool. Falling endlessly out of bounds in the intersection area, final part of the course. I didn't even know this was a thing. That's really funny. Thank God that's changed. Warp item and warp ring specialist. So it looks like it's going to stay against CPs and friend matches, nothing else. So pretty nice. Double ticket reward never existed. Okay, so when you get to a certain point in world rank, you get Donpa ticket rewards. Okay, not too bad. So my biggest issue is we do not have any item adjustments at all. So before I get into talking about the gadgets that are new to the game and what's actually shown up into the game, I want to talk about this first. So the fact that we have no item adjustments at all, and we're not seeing like Tornado is gonna do less damage or does no damage, the fact that overall we are not seeing any item changes is very, very unhealthy. This is really bad. This is horrendously bad. Like in general, this is not good. This is very, very not good at all. I genuinely think this is probably like one of the worst things that could have ever happened. I really do not think this is good. So you see in Excel Character Kit nerfs, like the Excel Character Kit, as I said earlier, doesn't really matter. This nerf, it doesn't mean much. The Ultimate Charge nerf is very, very good for us trying to play against Ultimate Charge and making it so Ultimate Charge has to actually play their gadget a lot more strategically. So it's like, that's good, but the fact that none of the items are nerfed and the only item nerf they even did was drill, this is horrible. This is probably one of the worst things that could have happened. Is like, I understand if Slipstream is not going to get nerfed, but the fact that we literally have no item changes outside of drill really hinders the potential of this patch. This patch was like a 7 or 8 out of 10, and then seeing that there's no other item changes, this makes it net neutral, genuinely. Like, Tornado's a huge problem, instantaneous green gloves, bombs, slicers, red gloves that are completely unreactable. Those aren't being changed. Tornado is completely unreactable when someone's right next to you, not changed. So this actually leads into a huge problem. Now that Ultimate Charge is much worse overall, and it's much less consistent, item spam is now going to be the name of the game. And yes, you might be like, oh, well, just go crash pads, go quick recovery, go whatever, right? No, this is not good. The problem is that now that we have the issues of, say, Tornado is still broken, instantaneous green red slicers are a problem still, bomb is still instantaneous and a problem, this leads to a huge issue with the game. Now the game's in a situation where basically you have to be like actually perfect to get consistent games with Ultimate Charge. You can't be stupid, and you have to hold your items. So Ultimate Charge, not only is Ultimate Charge's build overall nerfed, but the way that players have to like play their items, not only with Ultimate Charge, but without Ultimate Charge, you have to play your items very well. We're in a situation where the game, consistency wise, is now, it is down to you in a lot of ways, but it's also down to like just hoping that people don't just spam you down and gun you down. It is not healthy from the looks of it. So I really don't think, from a casual perspective, this patch is actually really good. From a casual perspective, well, I wouldn't say really good. From a casual perspective, the patch is pretty alright. It's like a 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10. But from a competitive perspective, this patch is horrible. This patch basically kills off like any competitive like power for like hard bagging, which is a build that one of my friends uses, really good at the build. This kills off Ultimate Charge builds and a lot of the Ultimate Charge potential, which is interesting to see because Ultimate Charge is supposed to be the consistency gadget while having a high risk to it, and you are adding more risk, which is good, but again, you are not changing any of the problem items. So even if we go to ring game boost builds, even if we go to less is more builds, even if we go to ring engine, there we go, even if we go to any of these builds, the problem is the items are still extremely problematic as they have been. So the whole state of the game is significantly more volatile. So this is something that a lot of players will have to adjust to. It's gonna be very similar to Legend Comp 2 in a lot of ways for a lot of these races. I think front running might be a little more favored based on the gadgets, but again, we're gonna wait and see when I get open to the game and I will look at all these gadgets. But from the looks of it, this whole patch is gonna be ring game boost and front running, things of that nature. So let's get into the game and let's go actually look at what each of the gadgets do and how many slots each of these gadgets are. This will be the final part of the video outside of my final thoughts. So let's get into it. Alrighty guys, we are now into the other side of the video, which is actually going to be going over the gadgets. So recommended gadgets: ring doubler, a summon item box, 3 for ring doubler, 2 for item box. Okay, let's talk about these. So we have Go-Go Omochows. It is going to be in the same line as Dark Chow Starter and Giant Rocket Punch, things of that nature. We are working with the 2-slot gadget. Go-Go Omochow seems to be, it's going to be 2 slots, probably going to be the same rate as Short Fuse. If it's times 10, that means on average it's going to be around like, I don't know, 20 something percent, maybe 30-ish. I don't know. It's going to be somewhere between that range just from quick math off my head. So let's go over a quick build. I know I'm on my keyboard mouse. I don't have my controller plugged in. So let's talk about a quick build that I think you could see a lot of. So there's potential for a couple of these other builds. So let's talk about this. So Go-Go Omochow, you might see this with quick charge level 2 and 3. You probably see this with Go-Go Omochow and ring game boost. Even if you don't do this, you could actually see like extreme gear setup with Excel Character Kit or ring game boost 2 and Slipstream Bounty, obviously. And this is going to basically provide you with kind of the same benefits that Snake Stream would do, but it's going to be like Snake Stream for E-gears, and it's going to be a little bit more interesting to see. I don't know how viable this setup is. I will have to actually get back to you on that with a follow-up video, but you can see a couple of gadget plates like these. So Go-Go Omochow, depending on if it's times 5 or times 10, when it comes to how its odds are, this could actually make Go-Go Omochow a lot better. Now, let's talk about the next gadget while we're up here, which is Route Planner Bounty, also known as Travel Ring Selector Bounty. So this is a gadget I already predicted. It's a 1-slot slot, it's going to be firm run favored, and you get 100 rings, and increase maximum ring limit. Interesting. Question is, how much of a max ring limit increase is this? So you get 100 rings and it increases your max ring limit. This is potentially interesting. I think the fact that it gives you both could actually mean it's a good filler one slot. Even if it's not the best thing, this could be a good filler one slot for that reason. So this is a lot better than I thought it was going to be, especially from Champion Bounty, which is 3 slots. This is horrible. So Champion Bounty, you get rings in 1st through 3rd. And not only that, I actually do have footage of this because someone sent me some. And the footage is playing right here. You get 3 rings per 1.5 seconds in 1st, which is not terrible, but like every 1.5 seconds, especially when you're pairing it with Ring Game Boost 2, is about, you get the full Ring Game Boost for about 1.2 seconds, if not a little bit less than that. So you actually aren't even getting enough rings to consistently stay in Ring Game Boost territory. So this is actually a horrible gadget. And if we go to 2nd and 3rd place, you actually get 1 ring per 1.5 seconds. So this is actually terrible. This gadget, it's too high cost. It's very, very slow to make rings. Like, yes, you get consistent rings, but you can't slam this with anything. It's too much. If this was an extra slot gadget, you could actually see this have a lot of value and could favor front running. But with the fact that this gadget is like this, I don't think there's any gadget setup you can do with this that actually makes it viable. Like, I really only think you can do, like, you have Champ Bounty, it'd be Quick Charge level 2 and 3, and then Slipstream Bounty maybe? Or, like, mini Ring Game Boost? Like, I don't know what you would do with this. I feel like you're sacrificing too many things to make Championship Bounty even, like, slot in. So, this one's really bad. It had the highest potential going into this patch, and it's the worst one overall. I don't think it's good. I think Champ Bounty, probably avoid it. I really don't see a good build for this. Ring engines. So, when holding 1 or more rings, plus 12 to all stats, but slowly lose rings over time, plus 12 to all stats could be really good. For the fact that it's a 1-slot gadget, you know what I could see? There is potential, now that I think about this, with some of the time trials, you could actually maybe see Ring Engine actually work. Ring Engine 2 is actually too high cost, unfortunately, because it's based on the amount of rings you're holding, and it's 1 ring per, I think, 1 second is what it's stated. Something like that. It's probably like 1 ring per second. And so when you're holding 1 or more rings, increase all stats based on the number of rings held, but slowly lose rings over time. So with Hyper Ring Engine, you basically, if you're holding 100 rings, you'll get 100 points to all stats, and so on and so forth. So that means consistently maintaining 100 rings will make you have max speed, max acceleration, max handling, max power, max boost is what I'm getting at. That's what I'm assuming is what it means, because this one's plus 12 to everything. This could be interesting. This is a very, very strong gadget, potentially. Now, a build I can actually see with this is Hyper Ring Engine, you're running Slipstream Bounty, and you're probably going to be running something like maybe Air Trick Bounty, maybe Dash Panel Mini, something interesting like this, or even Perfect Charge Bounty. You do QC2 here, QC3 here, and then this will be Hyper Ring Engine down here. This can actually be interesting when it comes to time trial, especially with like Ring Engine 1. For Expo specifically, you can actually see Expo's TT change. So for usually runs, Ring Game Boost, Perfect Charge Bounty, let me find this, and then usually it's QC2 and Ring Game Boost Mini right here. So the fact that this gives you plus 12 to all stats, and it's based on the amount of rings you're getting, you could potentially have enough rings in the tank consistently due to Perfect Charge Bounty and get enough Perfect Charge Bounty procs off to make this a viable TT build. Now, in terms of other TT builds, I don't know if Hyper Ring Engine could be a correct slot out for Ring Game Boost 2. I really do think Hyper Ring Engine would have to be tested further and looked into further, but there is actually a lot of potential for both gadgets. So I'm very interested to see how these pan out. I'm actually going to be trying Hyper Ring Engine with QC2, QC3, and Perfect Charge Bounty. I want to see how that plays out, and then I'm going to try Ring Engine itself with this kind of build and some other builds. So definitely be on the lookout for these two. I'm very disappointed with Champion Bounty. Champion Bounty really sucks. It's really bad. So let's get into the next one. Less is more. 3 slots as well. So increase the machine's top speed when holding fewer rings. So it looks like it's going to be 200 for 0. It's not bad if you can avoid it. So there's potential like this is your build. There's a good chance this is your less is more build. So we could see something like this. And the fact that less is more is going to be 200 flat always. Now, granted, the only problem is you can't slot in any sort of like ring generation depending on how much you lose. So like less is more is like you go from 200 to like 198 if you have 10 rings, right? It could actually make it a lot worse. I don't know what the stats are on this, but definitely look on less is more. There could be a lot of fun builds. In terms of like time trial or anything like that, I don't see anything to work work with this one. Ring doubler. Double the number of rings gained. Does not count for team matches. This is horrible. As I predicted, it's very bad, but the fact it doesn't even work for festivals is even worse. So this, I'm not even going to talk about this gadget. This gadget is terrible. It does nothing. It doesn't help you. Like, yeah, you can slam in double ring engine, but like, you're already maxing out all your stats if you have a max rings. I don't see why you need 2 of these at that point. You're burning 2 rings per. Like, I guess maybe they want you to do something like this. You're running doubler with both ring engines, and even then, I don't see that being useful. Next, summon item box, I think is the last gadget we have to go over. Spend 40 rings to get an item with the button. Interesting. So 40 rings gives you 2 guaranteed items per roll, and then saves you 20 rings. Could be very interesting. This, I don't know how viable it's going to be, but maybe on like final stretches where you have like summon item box, you're going to have QC2, and then obviously you have your tried and true slipstream bounty and ring game boost too. This could be interesting. You could probably see this on e-gears and even power vehicles potentially. So there's some viability here on a couple of these. In terms of like which are the most viable, ring engines are going to be first most potential, Go-Go Oma Chow probably second most, and then less is more is third. In terms of the other gadgets, route planner probably a lot better than it looks, because the fact that it's 1 slot gives you 100 rings if you choose the route, and you get a max ring limit increase depending on how much that is. Like if it's 130 ring instead of like 110, could be very, very good. If it's like only 110, it doesn't really matter, but it's still really nice and could have some niche uses. Ring doubler completely useless. Champ bounty really doesn't matter. I don't think champ bounty is that good. It's way too high cost. Same thing, ring doubler, way too high cost. There's just too many issues due to these 2 gadgets having these. I don't think there's any reason to play these 2. I can't find any build ideas in my head. Summon item box could actually find value, but other than that, I think that's most of the gadgets. I am very, very disappointed that ring doubler's 3 slots. I'm disappointed a bit that less is more is 3 slots, but I actually could understand it. I was hoping it was 2 slots, because having 200 consistent speed for 2 slots and you can't pick up any rings, and if you do pick up a ring, you lose like maybe like 5 speed, I think would have been a fair trade-off. Champion bounty, terrible gadget. This gadget sucks. I don't think anyone's going to use this, and the few people that do are using it probably from fun. This is just way too high risk for too little reward, and the fact that it's 3 slots, like if it was 2 slots, okay, good. You could probably run this in some builds, but the fact that it's 3 slots, same thing with less is more. The fact that it's 3 slots, I feel like it's too many. It needs to be 2 slots to actually have potential viability. 3 slots is a lot to ask for, especially with gadget kits such as boost character kit, excel character kit, drift charge kit, and Wisp-Porter kit. You're asking quite a lot for your 3 slots, and the fact that it feels like these don't have enough value for any of these 3 really does hinder the fact that you can even want to pick these. I really do think less is more is your best potential when it comes to the 3 slots. I think Hyper Ring Engine and Ring Engine, both of these are going to be very interesting. I think Ring Engine, you might actually see this a lot more than I anticipated, because this is actually pretty solid. Plus 12 stats to everything is actually really good. And the thing is, like, even on like setups with the acceleration machines, if you're running, say, like Whisper, right? Whisper in Racing Buggy gives you 40 boost. On top of this, it gives you 52 boost. And if you run Whisper in other setups, you can literally get up to 90 boost with rings and things of that nature. So I think Ring Engine, I actually think the most viable build and the most potential build in this whole setup, unironically, like, this is going to sound cope a little bit, but I do think, like, one of the most potential setups that you could have is this. Is something like this. This could actually have a lot of potential. It's got, like, an alternate version of the TT build. And even if you don't run Ring Game Boost, maybe you could run, like, Mini Ring Game Boost and QC3, and you run it like this, where you're constantly getting more rings than you're burning, and you're still getting value off of those rings, even if it's a small amount of value. So, definitely be on the lookout for Ring Engine builds, because I think there's a lot of potential with this. I really do like this gadget. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think Hyper Ring Engine might be a little too much, but keep a lookout for this one as well. It could potentially overtake some other fun stuff. I think it could be a lot of fun. In terms of TT viability, I really don't know. I think Ring Engine, when you're running the main Expo build, instead of running the double Ring Game Boost setup and you run Ring Engine, maybe that actually provides more value than Ring Game Mini, because you're going to have 12 more speed, boost, all that stuff, and it's going to be that much easier to actually maintain such good lines and have really good stats, things of that nature. So definitely look out for Ring Engine over Mini Ring Game Boost and a lot of these double Ring Game Boost builds with Ring Game Boost 2 and Mini Ring Game Boost. Otherwise, guys, that's all I got for you on the gadgets. That's all I got for you on the changes. In terms of gadgets, the gadgets are really bad. I'm very disappointed when it comes to like a competitive stance. These gadgets are terrible for the most part, or they don't have a lot of value. I do think they're a lot of fun. So from the casual side and casual competitive side, very fun gadgets, very fun to work with. From a competitive side, a lot of these gadgets are terrible, and unfortunately, a lot of these gadgets are really inferior to just running the TT build, running UC, running Excel Character Kit, Ring Game Boost stuff, running bagging with Wisp-Porter Kit, things of that nature. nature. So it's a shame, but I do think you're going to see a lot of less is more. You're going to see a lot of the ring engines. You're going to see maybe a couple people run Route Planner Bounty, Champ Bounty, and Ring Doubler. Absolutely not. I don't think anyone wants to run that. I think it's just way too high cost for not enough reward for either of them. Go Oma Chow, I actually think you're going to see a fair amount of people use this. I think this has a lot of potential as well. And this really depends on if it's 5 times or 10 times. And then some item box, I actually think you can see this as well. This could be a very fun gadget. I don't know how competitive it's going to be, but we'll just have to wait and see, guys. That's been everything you need to know about all the gadgets, the patch changes, everything. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Comment down below what you think was the best change of the patch. Comment down below what you're disappointed about when it comes to the patch. I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'm going to make a follow-up video to this and talk about like all the new discoveries from everything that's been talked about in this video or hasn't been fully addressed. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have yourselves a great one.